Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And if you don't poop in your hands and take it outside, then watch the bass in your voice when you're talking to me. So, I was trying to figure out something to do a video on, and I kind of settled on my first aspirational knife. I think a lot of us have that, like the first knife that you see and you look at and it's like, I want that, but... And usually it's sticker shock from the price tag. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a shout out. I like finding new channels and kind of subbing and then watching them and seeing how they grow and the path they take and everything else. Just seeing what happens with them. I would hope you do too. And there's a channel, Made to Blade. I'm gonna tag him in this, but his first video was 2 weeks ago and he's got 6 subscribers right now. So it'd be awesome if you guys drop by, give him a sub, tell him I sent you, let's show him some love, and again, let's watch where he goes with this. I'm interested. I love finding small channels like that and seeing what happens. So and like the videos that I've seen remind me a little bit of my first videos. Even though I was only doing minute-long shorts, it just sounds so much like the ones I did. So throwing that out there. But that being taken care of, my first aspirational knife was also like the first knife where I went over the $100 mark. And that was some severe sticker shock, and it's still a bit of money for me now. I gotta put that money back for a little while before I can buy something that expensive. But, that's gonna be the Benchmade Bugout right here. And this thing was $140 at the time of purchase. And you can see early lanyard bead, it's long as hell. Gotta fix this one too. But this bead I made right here, I really love the colors on it and I wanted to put it on something. And as much as I love this was the right choice. But one of the things that sold me on Benchmade to begin with, and some of you have heard this before a couple times, but for the guys that haven't heard it, years and years ago, I worked at a college on the roads and grounds crew, and they had us in an area we didn't normally maintain, getting leaves cleared out, just kind of to get that area cleaned up and give it a chance to, kind of go wild again for a couple of years. And I'm hitting stuff with a leaf blower, and the wonderful thing about running a leaf blower on that university is every so often something wonderful fell out of that pile of leaves. One day it was a $100 bill. I kid you not. But in this case, it was a Benchmade 9000 series. I'm 99% sure. It's been many years. That was before I got clean. That was before the divorce. That was before all the insanity that happened there. And that story is not safe for this channel or YouTube, so we're not going there. But a lot's happened since I found that, so I've had to look up images, and to my best ability to tell, it was a 9000. But it was an automatic knife. It fell out of a pile of leaves, and I found it, and I saw the butterfly, and it's interesting. When I was a little kid, my uncle, again, he loved knives too, and he was telling me how great this company called Benchmade was, and he's like, yeah, if you see that butterfly, it's a seal of quality. I'm like, butterfly? Really? Are we also going to discuss rainbows while we're here? And so I didn't really understand what was going on there, but I knew the name. And that thing flew out a pile of leaves. I'm like, yes, score! And the tip was broken off, so I ground a new tip on it, and I covered the shiny spot with black magic marker to kind of blend it in with the black coating on the blade. And I took it home, I rinsed it out. I didn't even bother oiling it because I didn't know enough to do that. And that thing lasted for 2 or 3 years of just getting the crap beaten out of it before the spring finally went out, and that's probably because it was rusted through. And I took it apart on the healing bench, and when the divorce hit the fan and I grabbed the kids and took off, that was one of the things that just got left behind. I wish I still had it, and I'd love to buy another one, but again, sticker shock from the price, no can do. But the Bugout kind of came to my attention as I started looking at knives, and of course, Bugout's just kind of one of those standard vanilla pumpkin spice, basic ass, knife guy knives. And of course, a lot of guys hate Bugout. A lot of guys don't like or hate Benchmade. They don't like the Bugout, and that's fine. It's kind of one of those things. It's almost a meme knife at this point. But I've said it before. Like, I've watched Dutch bushcraft knives for years, and that was the first really good look at what these things can handle that I got. The Benchmade Mini Freak got put up against some insane monsters in a strongest folding knife test, and it held its weight amazingly considering what it was stacked up against. And then they did videos with the Bugout kind of showing the insanity that these things can take. I was like, all right, I have to have one. So I saved up for it, and I got it. And, of course, it wasn't my first axis lock, but it sold me on the idea of an axis lock. Before I really got back into things heavy, I picked up a few Ganzos because they had axis locks, and then I kind of realized I was looking at a bunch of clones and stolen IP, so they just kind of went in a pile and never actually got used. There was one that I don't know where it went that kind of floated between the dining room and the kitchen to cut packaging open, and even that, I don't know where it is and I don't look for it. But, the axis lock here, it's definitely very smooth. This has probably got the best timing on an axis lock out of anything I own, and I absolutely love this, and I have carried it. It does get carried once in a while. It's one of those that's almost too nice to carry. I'm kind of scared of that first big gouge in it or something like that because, the first time you ding up a new tool, it's always painful. But it does get carried on occasion, and I really, really love it. And this is also the first super steel that I've acquired. And at this point, S30V is kind of your entry-level super steel. It's still fantastic, but so much stuff has come out since then that blows it out of the water. And honestly, this is more than I'm ever gonna need. I mean, for the love of God, I don't really need Magna Cut for anything. I don't need like S90 or whatever's out there now. Crew wear, I don't really need that for anything, and that part of it's not what impresses me so much. I like a high quality steel, but it's also kind of the function, the carryability, and everything else. And alongside this, the other aspirational knives I had when I got back into stuff was the Hogue Deca, which I don't have yet. I'm probably eventually going to save up for that, and the Zero Tolerance ZTO 350. I also don't have that, but I've seen it. A friend of mine absolutely swears by it, and he swears that it's a million times better than the Bugout. He's not a Benchmade guy, so I don't think he's seen what the Bugout can take, but I do understand the ZTO 350 and what it can do. So that's the Bugout that I bought for myself. The other one that I have, and this is the fancy schmancy one. It still stays in the egg bag that it came in. But that's going to be this beauty right here. The aluminum scales, the M390. You got the Benchmade axis lock, and this thing is as slick as two buttered ninjas. And I've told the story before, but it's been a while. A friend of mine, when he got married, and him getting married is one of the happiest things. It's the happiest I've been for someone else in a long time. I love him. I love his wife. They're fantastic people. They're some of the best people I know. But we went out on his bachelor party trip, and he rented a cabin up in the mountains, and, we had a whole bunch of gaming stuff, and we sat around, and we got him his PS5 there, too, like, way out in the sticks, and we go to Walmart to pick up I don't know what anymore, but I looked at him, he looked at me, and we both said PS5 at the same time and ran back to electronics, and they had one there. So, that was a great weekend for him. He got to drive an armored personnel carrier over some cars. I got to ride in there and get video of it, FPS. We had a blast, but he says we're going to a knife shop. And of course, he made a point to tell me specifically we're going to a knife shop. So I'm thinking he's going there to pick out a knife for himself finally. So I see this sitting there and I run up and I show him. I'm like, hey, check this one out. This is the more badass version of the one I have. It's got way better steel. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got aluminum scales on it. And I'm talking him through it because I think he's buying a knife and I want him to have something better than mine. So he buys this, and then we find out he's there to buy a Kill Bill Hattori Hanzo sword autographed by David Carradine. So he picks this up, he picks up the sword, and I grab a little $25 OTF, and we get back to the cabin, and he hands this thing to me because I don't celebrate my birthday, nobody knows when it is, I don't really do Christmas. Again, more dark, crazy stories not fit for here, but, he's like, yeah, this is to get you back for all those birthdays that we can't celebrate with you and all the Christmas that we haven't been able to do with you, so here, take that, bastard. And so I brought this home, and it does get carried once in a while. I promised him I'd carry it, so it does get added to the rotation on a rare occasion because, this is one of those things where it does make me feel good to have it on me. There are some knives, there's some, some things like that. The artifacts, you put that in your pocket, you put it in your waistband, wherever you put it, and you just feel a little bit better for the rest of the day. And this is that for me. Like, when I carry it, I need to feel a little better. I need to pick me up, so I grab this thing. And I absolutely love it. I'm very sentimental about this one. Like, this one was the first over $100 knife that I bought. I absolutely love it. I'm more willing to carry this than this because I really, really don't want to drop this and ding up the aluminum, ding up the pocket clip. Like, I'm scared of dropping this so much. This one, not as much, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is the Benchmade CF Elite with the carbon fiber scale / frame, the all-in-one there. And, you know, if you haven't handled one of these, it is unbelievably lightweight. Like, this was built to be a lightweight king. And this is the one that I compare comfort of carry to all others. This is the gold standard for me. You see how thin this is and how flat it is and how little it weighs. When I've got this in my waistband, I have to go looking for it when I want it. That's part of why the lanyard bead's on here. It makes it a lot easier to grab and snatch out when I don't feel like, you know, just digging around to find it. But, you know, this thing is a phenomenal knife. And, you know, this would have been up there on my 10 under $100 list if it was under $100. This edges out the Devo Knives Growler V2 just for the lightweight, the insane steel. The edge on it is much more refined just because this is a significantly more expensive knife. You know, this was $140 some odd dollars, and the Devo Growler was $75. And that's D2 steel. It was a prototype. It had already been put through it and carried and tested before I got it. So there's zero complaints about that. That is a fantastic knife. But this thing right here is what I compare everything else to for comfort, easy use. This is what I have in mind when I'm looking at other knives. And that's part of why my standards are kind of stringent, because this thing is absolutely fantastic whether you love it or hate it. And, you know, this is kind of a look at these things. You know, and hopefully some of you guys have had similar experiences. You had something that you really, really wanted to get, and it just took you a long time to get over the sticker shock and just go ahead and take the plunge and buy it. You know, I don't really have a grail knife per se. I haven't seen the one where it's like I have to have that outside of some Midgard's Messers. You know, I could eventually save up for the Mayhem. That's kind of grail-ish. But some of those Midgard's Messers, like the, I think it's the Fenris, like that would be a grail knife. That's like $400 some odd dollars, but it is an absolutely comically huge folder. And like that is literally pocket sword. It is pretty much sword sized. And, you know, I would love to be able to get that, but that is way out of reach financially. And those things aren't that common. They release small batches, and probably by the time I could save up for it, or by the time I have the kind of income that would support it, they're going to be gone. It's going to be secondary market, and they'll be like $750, $800 a pop. So that may never happen for me, and I'm okay with it. You know, I'm happy where I am in the budget range. I'm happy with stuff like this. It's not hard to please me as far as price goes. It just has to have that function and build quality. You know, those are the two things I'm looking for. But, as I said, I just kind of wanted to show these off and talk about just the concept of an aspirational knife, the thing you have to save up for, the thing that you want, but, you know, it's expensive. And, like, there's a difference between aspirational and grail. Aspirational is attainable. It just may take some work. Grail is you gonna have to work for it, boy. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Thank you for the subscribers. More guys are coming in, and I've said it before. It's very humbling that people watch this stuff and get something out of it. Comments, thank you so much. I love the feedback. I love talking to you guys when I can. And all that being said, check out Made to Blade. He's got 6 subs. Let's help him out. And y'all have a nice day.